Wednesday evening, the 29th of May, 2024. The sun has set. Sky is clear. Although I can see some high thin opacity down to the east and some high thin clouds to the south. So I would say there is a slight chance that we're going to have diminished visibility this evening. I'm going to set up the observatory and wait about an hour and a half. It's about 20 minutes after 8 right now. Set things up. And things have improved over the course of the day, so I suspect things will continue to improve. Power up the controller. Flip the south-facing roof try. Do a warm restart. Go to set time. 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, 1005, 1006. Basically, I lose about 3 seconds every day since the GPS is not loaded with the system. And I'm going to be looking to the east, which means I want to park it at the zenith. So the scope will be pointing in the right direction. I'll probably turn up Arcturus, synchronize the mount, and mount this camera into its holder, viewing the screen from the Rev 2 imaging system. Scope will go vertical. Generally like to do a quick check of the bubble level when it does so. On both the declination and right ascension axes. You may not be able to see it. The camera is manually set up to give the best image of the screen. The bubble looks really, really good. Declination, right ascension, the same thing. Bingo. All right, let me do my Arcturian synchronization. How's that for Arcturus right out of the box? I'm going to have to bring her in to the center of the field a little bit. Looks pretty good. Set the focus. Make as tiny a disc as I can. There we have it. Synchronize it up and then park it once again. Well, there's still a bit of color in the sky, so we haven't quite achieved sky dark. It's about 5 minutes to 10. We're about 3 weeks plus change out from the shortest night of the year and the longest day. What you're looking at right now is a very low density globular cluster. We haven't seen globular clusters for at least 3 or 4 months. This is NGC 5466, globular in Bootes. Magnitude 9.1, 9.2 arc minutes in size. The brightest stars are magnitude 13.8. We're seeing maybe 50 stars on the field, so faintest ones at this point are probably around 15.5 we're seeing. The cluster is classified as a type 12, which means type 12 means the stars are pretty widely dispersed, not very condensed at all. Looks kind of like I've seen much denser open clusters. This particular globular, however, is 54,000 light years distant. And at 9.2 arc minutes in size, it is about 1/3 the size of M4 in terms of its apparent size, but it is some 7 or 8 times more distant. So I estimate it's about 125,000 light years in diameter. And since it's now springtime, we're kind of off axis of the Milky Way. This one is definitely a ways from the galactic core, probably as far away from the galactic core as we are. All that, of course, requires validation and research, but these are just speculations on my part. So here we have our view of NGC 5466 globular cluster in Boötes, magnitude 9.1, 9.2 arc minutes in size, 54,000 light years distant. So let us kick off with this. I have a number of galaxies, some as far as 50 degrees north. I don't think we're going to catch them all, but at least we'll give them a shot. They all came out of the Wiltirian Sky Atlas, and we'll pick up as many as we can this evening. I've changed the screen brightness up to 25 from 15 on the screen here, the TFT display, giving a little flatter image. I'm hoping it'll reveal the galaxies a little bit better, but I may drop it back down later on in the evening. Anyway, we should be in sky dark in the next 5 or 10 minutes. Let's go to our first galaxy of the evening after having a look at the globular cluster. Our first 2 galaxies of the evening were too far north and blocked by roof tree. That would be NGC 5660 and NGC 5676. Let's see if we can turn up 5689. I've kind of listed them in descending declination order, so at some point we should be able to pick something up. But we are really within about 8 degrees of the zenith, so I don't expect to see anything for quite a while, although we will be descending to as far south as 30 degrees north declination. Well, NGC 5689 was still too far north, so we've dropped down to 5633. Although there was a little bit of obstruction, I was able to kind of make it out on the screen. Let me give you some data. We are getting partially obstructed with this galaxy as well, but I might as well give you the data on it. NGC 5633. Let me enter the handset. 5633. What are we seeing on the screen? Oh yeah, the galaxy is visible on the screen anyway, even though we're getting about half the aperture blocked. NGC 5633, another galaxy in Boötes. Magnitude 12.4, 2.1 by 1.1 arc minutes oblately presented. Spiral with a lowercase b, twice removed from lenticular. 98 million light years distant. We're at 14 degrees 27 minutes and our 14-hour 27 minutes and 28 seconds in right ascension. Declination 460848. So this is, I'd say we're about 50% obstructed, and you can see the galaxy in the field, the core with some faint luminosity circumscribing it, but no sense of ablateness from what I can tell. Let's go on to 5730 now. I'll let you watch this one develop. I think we're getting full aperture in the scope right now. I'll give you some data on 5730. You can confirm that. Yep. NGC 5730, another galaxy in Boötes. Faintish, magnitude 14.1. Kind of edge on, 1.8 by 0.4 arc minutes. So yeah, it's relatively edge on. It's an irregular galaxy, 118 million light years distant. We're at 14 hours, 39 minutes, and 52 seconds with a declination of 42:44:31 north declination. You can see the edge-on appearance of the galaxy in the field. It's an irregular galaxy, which means pretty much its structure is probably nascent. It's probably a young galaxy or a recently picked apart galaxy, possibly by some other galactic presence, but I'm not seeing anything else. Well, there is a brightish galaxy towards the 11 o'clock position on the screen. Not bad at 14th magnitude to see its presentation nearly edge on. That's engaging. I'll let it continue to develop as we navigate to our next study, which is 57. We can make a leap back in right ascension back to the west. Let's watch this one develop on the screen. As you see, 5557, 37 was in Virgo. It was also very faint, 15th magnitude, which caused me to suspect it because the Wiltirian guide wouldn't ordinarily include galaxies of that faintish of a magnitude. Galaxies quite present on the screen. NGC 5557, another galaxy in Bootes, the Shepard, magnitude 11, 2.4 by 1.9 arc minutes. Yeah, it's pretty condensed. It's an elliptical class 1. 151 million light years distant, puts it about a little bit larger, about as large as our own Milky Way, 100,000 light years across, 90 to 100,000. Recently I read we re-evaluated the Milky Way. It was about 87,000, but I suspect they've undershot it. It's probably somewhere between 90 and 95. We're at 36 degrees, 29 minutes, and 36 seconds north declination. No problem with actually capturing all the light of this elliptical class, mature elliptical class galaxy, NGC 5557. Onward. NGC 5533 is a magnitude 11.9 galaxy, 3.1 by 1.9 arc minutes. It looks a little small for that. I'm going to punch the go to button just in case I didn't really send it there yet. No, that's the case. Get the data up again. 5533. NGC 5533, another galaxy in Bootes, magnitude 11.8, 3.1 by 1.9 arc minutes, spiral of the lowercase ab, 177 million light years distant, puts this one pretty much about the size of the Andromeda galaxy, 150,000 light years in diameter. We're at right ascension 141607, declination 3520, 37. We're going to move on to NGC, if I can read this. Yeah, 5614 next. I'll allow that to develop. So we're going to 5614. Okay, NGC 5614. What constellation do you think it's in? You got it, Bootes the Herdsman. Data hasn't come up yet. It usually comes up within 5 seconds. Okay, 5614, magnitude 11.7, 2.4 by 2 arc minutes, spiral of the lowercase a to b transition. 178 million light years distant, puts this at about 120,000 light years in diameter. We're at plus 34, 51, 32 in declination. Can't tell you much about the galaxy. I don't have a very good view of the screen. It looks rather oblately presented to me. Our next study will be 5653. Oh, we'll let that one sit for a little bit as I tune in 5653. NGC 5653, another galaxy in Bootes. Magnitude 12.2, 1.7 by 1.3 arc minute spiral with a ball, lowercase b, but it has a ring to it. Magnitude 12.2, the ring, we might just, looks like we just had a passage there, and that was a satellite, did not leave much of a smoky trail. If there's going to be a ring, it's going to just barely be perceptible at the limits. You might want to look a little bit off to the right to see it. Averted vision enhances your ability to see really faint, even on the screen, not to mention on the eyepiece, but even on the screen to see faint luminosity at the extreme limits of perceptibility. So NGC 5653, magnitude 12.2, 162 million light years distant. We're at 31 and change declination. So there is our view. NGC 5641, once again a galaxy in Bootes. Magnitude 12.2, 2.4 by 1.3, oblately presented spiral with a bar in lowercase ab in terms of its morphological Hubble de Vauquelaire's classification. 199 million light years distant puts this at about 125,000 light years in diameter. We are now under 30 degrees in declination, 28:49:17, and butting right up against right ascension hour, 14 hours and 30 minutes. And it does look like there's some nice hazy luminosity ensconcing this 12.2 magnitude galaxy. Well, let's watch this galaxy develop. It has a nice aspect ratio to it. So have a look. Very nice. NGC 5523, another galaxy in Bootes. Brightish, magnitude 12.1, but larger than most 12th magnitude galaxies. This one's 4.7 by 1.3 arc minutes, which puts it at about a 3.5 to 1 aspect ratio. Spiral of the lowercase c, so 3 times removed from lenticular. A galaxy still in formation. 54 million light years distant puts it at about 70,000 light years in diameter. Very sweet view. Nice vertical extensions. Seems like it has a somewhat extended core and certainly has very nice edge-eye characteristics. If you look towards the top of the galaxy, it looks a little fainter than towards the bottom in terms of its average surface brightness. Galaxies have been known to be handed in terms of their galactic development. This seems to be an example of a handed galaxy with more star formation towards the 6 rather than towards the 12 o'clock direction from the core, at least as we are seeing it on the screen. I'm going to let that baby hang in there for a little bit while we dial in NGC 5448, the last galaxy on our Bootes list for tonight. And then we will go exploring. NGC 5548, our last galaxy of the evening from the Wiltirian Sky Atlas, galaxy in Bootes, magnitude 12.6, 1.5 by 1.2 arc minutes. spiral of the lowercase a, and a ring 232 million light years distant puts this at about the size of our own Milky Way. This is the last of the galaxies I selected for the evening. We started at about 50 degrees north declination. We missed the first 5 galaxies or so. This is the southernmost at declination 25 degrees, 8 minutes, and 11 seconds. So what I'm going to do now is find the highest number on my list for tonight, which was 5730. And I'm going to go there. I'm going to start at about 5800 and see if we can pick out some brightish galaxies, starting at NGC 5800. All right, the first one that came of interest, but many of them were below the celestial equator quite a ways. Some of them were well too far north to be observed, and many of them just didn't display characteristics that I thought we might be interested in. So this is adventitious NGC 5838. While it develops, I'll get the data. Should have a pretty nice aspect ratio. Now, one thing I want to point out, galactic images of the last month or so have not been as intriguing. Part of it is I think the fields have been rather bereft of stars. We're getting more star population now as we continue to head east towards the Milky Way core in the late spring era. This is NGC 5838, so it is nice to have a background of stars around these galaxies. This galaxy is in Virgo. It's up to a little more than 2 degrees above the celestial equator, but it's bright, magnitude 10.9, and it has a nice aspect ratio, 3.7 to 1.6 arc minutes. Spiral of the A class, 63 million light years distant, puts this one at probably about 60,000 light years in diameter. You can see the galaxy right there on the screen, and it has a very edge-on presentation, even though it's got a little more than 2 to 1 aspect ratio. Go ahead and enjoy this while I look up a couple more. NGC 5846, another galaxy in Virgo. This one's a straight-on magnitude 10. 4 by 3.7 elliptical class O, 79 million light years distant. So that puts it at about the size of the Milky Way, let's say 90 to 100,000 light years in diameter, but it is much denser with stars. We're at 1 and maybe a little more than 1/2 degrees in declination. The galaxy is quite present on the screen, as you can well see. Enjoy it while I continue to poke on the controller. There should be a neighboring 46A, magnitude 13.8, 5.5 by 0.3 arc minutes. It's an elliptical class 2, although it's 100 million light years distant. So somewhere on this screen, and I think it's right about there, just a little bit to the right, is NGC 5846A. Here's another galaxy in Virgo. Let's go for it. Here we have NGC 5850. Galaxy in Virgo, magnitude 10.8, largish, 4.5 by 3.9 arc minute, spiral with the bar, lowercase ab, 107 million light years distant. Once again, very close to the celestial equator at 1.5 degrees roughly declination, in the northern direction. I've selected our next study, NGC 5854, because it had a pretty decent aspect ratio, and you can see that it is kind of edgy on the screen. NGC 5854's Galaxy in Virgo, magnitude 11.9, 2.7 by 0.8 arc-minute spiral with a bar of the lenticular class with an A attribution. So not quite fully mature lenticular. 68 million light years distant. We're at about 2 degrees and a half northern declination, and we have passed right ascension 15 hours. In this case, 7 minutes and 47 seconds. Well, we may go out on this one. It's a nice dish shape, NGC 5859 Galaxy in Boötes. Magnitude 12.4, 3 by 0.8 arc-minute spiral with a bar, lowercase bc, 216 million light years distant. We're at right ascension 15 hours, 7 minutes, 35 seconds, declination 1934.55. It's giving a nice saucer-shaped view on the screen. However, before I say carpe noctem on this one, I'm going to go into the Messier catalog and see if I can turn something up that would capture a little bit more of the eye, although this one is giving a very nice presentation and does have a neighbor right about there. So we're getting double the value. I think there's another faint galaxy off in this direction. There could be several on the screen. I'm going to go ahead into the Messier catalog. I'm going to assume it's going to start somewhere around 60. Just plug in 60 because I don't have a chart available here. Messier 60, Galaxy in Virgo, but it doesn't tell me what class, and I really don't want to be looking, oh, no, 12 hour, 43 minutes. We need to be in the 15-hour realm. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off on this one. Well, we came in on a globular cluster. Why not go out on one? Maybe we'll actually go back to the original one to begin with as well. But let's start with Messier 92, globular cluster in Hercules. Bright, magnitude 6.5, 11.2 arc-minutes in size, 26,700 light years distant. We're at right ascension 1707 and declination 4308. 11. Let this one burn in as I go ahead, and we'll go ahead and revisit our Boötes NGC globular, which was more like 9th magnitude, NGC 5466. Alright, sorry to say, but NGC 5466 has advanced a little too far, and now the scope aperture is being half blocked. I doubt we're going to see much of it on the screen. Probably had a better view earlier in the evening than we're going to get now, even though the sky is very dark up there. So let us depart saying seize the night.